Hello and welcome to Magic Meets Melanin, where we take a deep dive into the world of fantasy. I'm your host Bree, and this week's episode kicks off my Onyx Storm read-through series. Each week I'll be covering a group of chapters from the book, sharing my thoughts and feelings and hunches. Today I'll be discussing chapters 1 through 6. I'll also be sharing a mystical pairing to heighten your read-through or reread of Onyx Storm. This week's Magical Melanin segment will highlight the works of Brittni Chenelle, a black fantasy author who creates diverse fantastical worlds. So grab a snack, snuggle up, and get comfortable, because you don't want to miss this. If you haven't read chapters 1 through 6, stop, pause this episode, and go do it real quick. Otherwise, you're going to be spoiled. And I promise you don't want to be spoiled, so you can enjoy the moments just like I did. At first, I'm going to touch on the prologue, and then I'll hop into the chapters. So, the prologue begins where we left off in Iron Flame. Xaden slips out of bed to meet with Jack Barlow. He has questions. He wants answers. Violet is following him. She has this little pit in her stomach, as she does, but we find out that she was there in the little corridor listening to what they got going on. We know that Xaden has faint strawberry circles around his irises, and that they can fade at the phase that he's in, according to all the texts that Violet has read. However, they do put Xaden at risk. As we know, Violet's mother died, saving her children and the college. Violet is still putting off grieving the loss of her mother, and in true stubborn fashion, refuses to let Xaden get himself killed or put himself in a position of harm, which honestly is a little too late for that. In the prologue, we also see that the line of communication between the two mentally is blocked off. It's described as being a thick wall of chilled onyx when Violet goes to try to contact him that way. I can't help but feel that this is a hint or foreshadowing of something important that will happen in the future. It also is revealed in the prologue that Andarna was able to blister one of the venom. We know she was the last of her kind, and that she can chameleon herself as needed. She might be linked to reversing the venom change, as we learned in previous books from her father, who was studying feathertails, which she appeared to be when Violet first met her, as well as venom. I also love the little detail at the top of chapter 1, and it's just Violet's contribution to the Book of Brennan, and it says, "I will not die today," and it's scratched out to, "I will save him." So even though our girl is a little frightened, she's still down bad for him. Okay, and can you blame her? Can you blame her? So moving on into chapter 1 through 6. We're brought 2 weeks from Xaden meeting with Jack Barlow. While the rings are gone from his eyes, Taryn, in true mood killer fashion, refers to him as the Dark One, which is kind of funny to me because honestly, he didn't need to turn venom to get that nomiker. Dude controls shadows. We also learn Violet is only pretending to sleep at night. Well, kind of. So I guess she doesn't trust that Xaden can control himself as much as she says she does. Once again, we have Violet keeping a personal artifact of the deceased. This time it's her mother's journals, which I feel might also hold valuable insight in regards to venom and if individuals can safely come back from that. Which also leads me to the theory that her mother actually once did before, and that also ties into, her father researching venom and feathertails. Because her mom was sick when she was pregnant with Violet, and I think it mentions something about having red eyes or something. Also, Sword is still with us, thank goodness, but is down one leg. Cat seems to be more sufferable and even nice. And just when you think things are chill, dead bodies appear and they all point to venom. So, chapter 2, we get our action, okay? We get a fight scene, we get a bunch of stuff. Venom have somehow infiltrated Basgath in the wards, and as scribes no less, which is very interesting. Like, I know they're underground, So I guess it makes sense, you know? I love the fight scene in the torture chamber though. Mwah, chef's kiss peak. The way she describes Zayden's shadows like home made me melt, okay? Made me kind of melty. Also, how Zayden is gentle yet protective. A band of darkness wraps around my hips and yanks me backward, then brushes my cheek gently, steadying my galloping heart and quieting my power. Need I say more? Okay. So it seems they were breaking Jack Barlow out, but I think they're really searching for Zayden or trying to lure him out, which confirmed thoughts when, Zayden tells Violet he can sense them and can sense them calling out to him, just as he can feel the energy or magic from the earth. So I think they're trying to force his hand for him to join them and kind of use the college's safety, more so Violet's safety, as the bargaining chip because they were also like, we can't harm her. Like, we need her. And even Violet's like, you're not about to kidnap me and keep me so you can lure Zayden. So, that's where we're at there. So, chapter 3, the journal entry before the chapter begins made me laugh because it's from her mom's journal or one of her journals. And it says, sometimes I worry about Violet. She has your sharp wit, quick mind, steadfast heart, paired with my bullheaded tenacity. When she finally and truly gives that heart, I fear it will overrule the other gifts you've given her, and logic will cede its voice to love. And if her first two liaisons are any indication of what we might expect, God's help her, my love. I'm afraid our daughter has atrocious taste in men. I feel like that was fairly recent because she didn't like Zayden and she knew about Dane, but you know, she's got to be referring to Dane as the other one. And I just thought that was so funny because even her mom is like, no, I don't like him. So there's a lot of political mumbo jumbo meetings and all that happening in the first 6 chapters because they're trying to secure alliances and essentially have the people who left come back and stay and things like that. And essentially, everyone's queuing for manpower. Like, they need the manpower, because if they all split up, they're all gonna die. They need each other. So there's a bunch of negotiations happening. But my man Zayden, bro, like, sometimes he's so unserious and it just makes me laugh. So Violet's getting ready, to go to the negotiation meeting, speak on behalf of Indarna and how they're gonna go on this quest to find others like her to help them, defeat the Venom. And of course, General Melgren is there. He appears at the doorway with his little beady eyes, eyeballing her. And Zayden, like, I love him so much because Zayden's reaction is crazy. Because Melgren's like, Cadet Sorengale, the Scenarium is ready to receive you, and his gaze darts to Garrick, then Zayden. And then he says, alone? And, and Zayden goes, I'll be right out here. And it's so menacing, deterred by these wooden doors that hang an inch off the ground. And mentally, she's like subtle, you know, trying not to smile. And Melvin just gestures for her to go inside, but just keeps eyeballing Zayden. And mentally, he's like, never gonna be. He replies, as I walk into the hall, I have every faith in your ability to protect yourself, but say the word and I'll rip the doors off their hinges. And she's just like, you're such a romantic. Crazy. So funny to me. I always love their interactions. Okay, so the negotiations were trash. They did not go well. I had a list of demands, and let's just say they were like, no. So yeah, that wasn't pleasant. And then after that, we're reminded of the bargain, which I kind of forgot about in all honesty. And I'm pretty sure it has to do with like the Luminary and, training the Griffin Riders and all that stuff. So yeah, we're reminded of that, and it says something about her having 3 days, I guess, to fulfill the bargain. And we move on, and let's just talk about awkward, because they finally get a moment to themselves. Zayden and Violet, they're in their bedroom. She gets up from laying down, is brushing her out because it's wet, and she's trying to dry it out. Puts the moves on her, starts kissing on her neck. Everything's going nice, Load into a false sense of security. We're thinking, oh, you finally get some private time, a little schmexy time. Wrong. You're wrong. He starts channeling and he freaks out, and he's like, get away from me, like, don't touch me, don't come near me. And she's like, what's wrong? He's like, I channeled because I got too excited and all up in my feelings. And she looks at the headboard, and it's like not even noticeable that the color changed from, I guess, where he was channeling at. But he's spooked, and she's just trying to comfort him. So yeah, we're thrown back into reality because Zayden channeled while trying to have sexy time with his girl. So Brennan finally makes an appearance towards the end of chapter 4, and honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about him. He's kind of arrogant and dismissive of Violet and pretty much everyone else, in my opinion, that tries to work with him or talk to him and express what they want, what they're trying to do. Also, how do we know he didn't actually die and he returned from the dead like Jack? Like, how do we know he wasn't reanimated somehow and he's just like a walking meat puppet, kind of? And I'm kind of with Mira on this one because, yeah, I just feel like she has the right amount of distrust with him, even though, that's her brother. I'm just like, I don't know, man. You've been gone for X amount of time. You don't even take on a family name. Like, kind of hard to believe that something's not up there. But that's just my opinion. What do you think? Do you feel differently? Let me know. Would love to know that. I'm excited to see more about runes and their use. Because a few months ago, I realized after reading Iron Flame that the covers had runes on them. Now, what do they mean? I don't know. Like, I don't know what they mean. But I'm hoping we learn more about runes so I can decipher what runes are on each cover of the book so far. And maybe that's a clue to how the next book will end or begin or something like that. Or maybe how the series will end. I'm not sure. But I want to learn how to decipher these runes. So I hope there's more about the runes and how they're made and stuff in this book. Also, we learned that they have 6 months, give or take, instead of like a year or two, like Violet estimated, before like a total collapse. And that's definitely not helping the vibes, it's definitely killing them. Way less than I imagined, thinking it would be like a year or so, especially since there's supposed to be 5 books in this series. So that was a bit concerning. We'll see how everything plays out. While I understand Mira not wanting to risk Violet's life for strangers, she'd also be doing it so all of those she knows and cares about and cares for are safe too. I think that was a little ignorant of her sister to say when arguing with Brennan about going on this journey to search for more dragons like Andarna. I'm like, it's kind of everyone, not just, random strangers who are at risk. But I do love how the sibling dynamic is portrayed in this series. Sometimes it can feel so far removed from reality and like real life when authors write about siblings. So I really appreciate that this series has that perfect blend of how older siblings and younger siblings squabble with each other and argue, fuss and fight, but still come together and like love each other at the end of the day. Especially with the sarcasm, this family is heavy on the sarcasm. So we're moving on to chapter 5, and we are reminded of the venom with the silver hair. And once again, it just makes me think of Violet's hair. So maybe she's connected to that somehow. Like that one venom is probably connected to everything that happened with her mom and why her father was studying dragons like Andarna and Venin overall. Something like that. And it really makes me feel that way because of how she made eye contact with Violet during the fight and then just vanished. Like, she disappeared. So, also kind of dumb. We're dealing with the whole Riders versus Flyers tango again, especially after they came to the aid of those who stayed at the college. But once again, we also finally see more of Kat and Dane, which I actually kind of hope Kat and Dane hit it off and become a fling. Plus, they both kind of play off one another when it comes to the skills and powers that they have. Like, she can mess with your emotions and he can mess with your head. Both just go hand in hand. I am interested to see if that happens, if that prediction is correct. And then Riddick is just so unserious, man. I love him. He's just so unserious. Even during the Lord of the Flies level BS that is happening, with people calling people out to challenges and threatening death to people and stuff, he's just like joking around, cutting the tension. This is what I mean by this man being so unserious, okay? Chapter 5, page 48. Not sure I'd brag about being in the wing that produced Jack Barlow. He says this in the midst of groups arguing Lord of the Fly style, like everyone is coming for blood, and he decides that that's his response. That's what he's gonna say. Like, my guy. Hilarious. I laughed out loud when he said that while I was reading. 10 out of 10. Love the guy. We have to talk about the mic drop moment at the end of that chapter. Page 50, the very end. Violet is like, yo, rebel is so outdated. We prefer the term revolutionary. I inform Aura, taking a measured step in her direction and welcoming the crackle of sizzling power in my fingertips. And if you're going to wield, then it's me you'll be dealing with. Like, say less. Say less. Like, let's go, okay? You don't want no smoke. So chapter 6, major bombshells, okay, we find out from a professor stating that, the Venom were originally defeated by two people who wielded the same sentence that Violet and Xaden have. So clearly they're very important pieces of this puzzle, and it also explains even more so why the Venom want the both of them so badly. They're kryptonite, like, together, whether it be through the power of love, I don't know, dragons, they're able to defeat them. And I hope that we find out how in this book, and if not, hey, we got 2 more to go. We also end the chapter with Xaden being reinstated as royalty over the land and his birthplace, so he's officially a duke now. And that's where the chapter ends. So that was chapters 1 through 6. They were pretty boring, starting out. Like I said, it was mostly about negotiations and politics. However, it did have its moments of action, things like that. So I'm hoping when the quest picks up, the pacing will, and it'll be less negotiations and talking and more action. Coming up, a mystical pairing that I feel embodies the vibe of Onyx Storm and highlighting some magical melanin. Stay tuned. I'm really excited to share this week's mystical pairing. I love a good mule, and this week's drink is a blackberry bourbon Moscow mule. So here are some ingredients that you need to make your own. 1 to 2 ounces of bourbon, whichever your preference is. 5 to 6 fresh blackberries. You can get frozen ones too. Those also work. You're going to want half a lime, plus a wedge for garnish. You're also going to need 4 to 6 ounces of ginger beer and 4 to 8 leaves of fresh mint for your drink and to garnish it. So here are the instructions. Let's put it all together. Start by tossing 4 to 5 fresh blackberries or your frozen ones into the bottom of a copper mule mug or a chilled old-fashioned glass. Pour in your bourbon using a muddler. Muddle the blackberries and bourbon together. Then, if desired, you can take a few sprigs of mint and do the same thing. Don't muddle it too hard. You don't want the bitterness to come from the mint, you just want the sweetness that it offers. Squeeze in juice from half a lime into the glass as well. Next, you're going to fill the glass-sized cup with crushed ice. If you don't have that function on your ice maker or you don't have any crushed ice, no problem. Just toss some ice cubes in a freezer baggie and just, go to town. You can use a rolling pin or maybe even the counter and just let your frustrations out until the ice is crushed. Once it is, put that in your glass or cup as well. You're going to top it off with your ginger beer and give it a gentle stir so that the lovely purple from the blackberries, comes up to the surface. Then you're going to garnish it with a wedge of lime, some fresh or frozen blackberries, and a sprig of mint. And you can serve it immediately. Altogether, this drink takes about 5 minutes. I hope you enjoy it and that it makes the experience of your Onyx Storm read through or reread all the better. Coming up next, this week's Magic Melanin Spotlight, where I'll be highlighting author Brittni Chenelle. If you're looking for your next fantasy read or you're into audiobooks, this one's for you. So who is Brittni Chenelle? Brittni Chenelle is a multicultural romance fantasy author. Her stories have multiple POVs, so if you're one of those people who love different points of view, she is for you. I first discovered her on YouTube, which she posts her books, the audiobook versions, on YouTube for free. So if you want to give them a listen, you can listen for free. That's how I found her. And the first book that I listened to was The Fae and the Fallen, which is part of her Gifted Fae Academy series / trilogy. It was so good. I binged all 3 of them back to back to back. So if you like magic and you like seeing people challenge stereotypes and narratives against them, like, this one's for you. It's also got enemies to lovers, so if you're into that, And just so you can decide whether or not you'd like to check it out yourself, I'm going to read you the synopsis. So, this is the first book in the Gifted Fae Academy series, The Fae and the Fallen. My first kiss nearly killed me, literally. When 80% of the population is gifted with touch magic, it's best to keep your hands and your lips to yourself, especially if you're an ungifted serf like I am. Problem is, the most dangerous guy at Gifted Fae Academy is the one I want to touch more than anything, even as I draw the attention of the school's most gorgeous apprentice Fae. When my entry exam leads to the revelation that I may not be as ungifted as I previously believed, well, surviving until graduation might prove harder than I thought, particularly when a certain fatal touch may be worth the risk. So it also has somewhat of a bullying trope to it too. So if you're into that, also dark academia, all that this one's for you. And like I said, there's 3 books, and I blew through them. I listened to that audio on YouTube, and they were just so good. So I definitely plan to purchase actual physical copies. So more about it, it's romantasy, it's slow burn, medium heat. And if you're into special editions or collecting, she has one available for that as well. You can also purchase a complete collection if you'd like to from her site, and I'll include that into the show notes as well as some links to her YouTube videos so you can listen to them. She has all sorts of books. I haven't had a chance to check all of them out, but some of the other ones, she has like a holiday romance one called Christmas Ruse. She's got one called Red Ribbon Tree, which is about a shy gamer with a secret crush. So many other reads, and like I said, they all have diverse characters. One that I started the audiobook on was Nymph Totem, and I feel like if you finished Fourth Wing and you finished Onyx Storm, that you might like that one too, because it was kind of giving me similar vibes. So I would definitely check out Nymph Totem if you haven't. And there's also a series called the Kingdom Cold series. It's a young adult series, and it's really good. So if you're into like princesses and princes and royalty like that, coming of age, finding yourself type of vibes, that one's for you. I've only ever read the first book in the series. However, I liked it. I enjoyed it. Everything that I've listened to slash read from Brittni Chenelle, I've enjoyed, which is saying a lot because, time and time again, but she got it, okay? And that's the reason she's a USA Today bestseller. So if you have the chance, please check out Brittni Chenelle. I feel like she offers a lot of good books for anyone who's getting started in fantasy. And yeah, if you check out any of her books, whether it be physical, digital, or through YouTube with the audiobooks, let me know. I want to know what you guys think of her, Brittni Chenelle, Let me know how you feel about her. And also just thank you for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed my experience with Onyx Storm, and I'd love to hear about your own experience with Onyx Storm. Whether you agree with anything I said, whether you disagree, do you have any favorites? Do you have any fan theories? Do you have any hunches? Feel free to share in the comments or on Instagram at Magic Meets Melanin. Again, that's Magic Meets Melanin on Instagram. And if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like and subscribe. As always, I wish you well. And until next time, book babes, ciao.